What's up, everyone? Welcome to part 2 of Ask the King, episode 28. Starting my timer here. Sorry for the abrupt ending of the last video. Unfortunately, the camera shut off just as I was saying, okay, that's it for part 1, let's go to part 2. But in addition, I forgot to address, in part 1, the change of scenery. That's right. Earlier this week, I did a channel update sitting here in this chair, and this is actually on the other side of my condo that people rarely see in videos. And people liked it. They said, oh, we like this change of scenery. And to be completely honest, setting up to do Ask the King in my bedroom is a little bit of a chore. So I said, you know what? Why not do a little change of scenery? Why not do it out here, and we'll see how it goes. And if it works out, which it is working out so far, I may do Ask the King out here, at least for the foreseeable future. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I've got a ton of questions to keep going into here, so let's continue. Alright, next question. Hey Phil, it said that G4 is now going to shut down and focus more on celebrities, movies, TV, etc., but not shy completely away from talking about video games. How do you feel about this? And this is from Baseball Boy 2036. Well, my first reaction I have to say is, didn't they already do this? Like, when you watch G4 TV, how much coverage of video games is there really on there? You got X-Play, you got Attack of the Show, and then you've got reruns of Cops and all kinds of stupid shit that shouldn't be on the channel. G4 has absolutely failed as a gaming television network, okay? The people who they had in charge creatively had absolutely no concept of how gaming was going, how gaming culture was evolving, and the fact that gaming was going to blow up the way it did. Basically, the people in charge weren't gamers. They were idiots. They were executives at a TV company who thought that, oh, we're going to do a TV station about games, but they had no knowledge of games. And so they completely blew it, okay? The network now is a joke. Like, the shows are stupid. No one really watches them. The network is going away. I mean, that's what he says. There's rumors now that G4 is going away. It's going to do a rebranding. Am I surprised that it's going to go to celebrities and stuff? No, because that's what everyone does. Look at YouTube. What do the popular vloggers do? They talk about the new celeb gossip and the new movie and this and that. That's all that these ditzy people can think of, okay? No originality. They have to go to what people, for whatever reason, like. Gossip. And that's what it's going to end up being, a stupid gossip channel about bullshit. So, G4, goodbye, good riddance. You never did a good job of covering gaming culture. You blew it, basically. You could have done a lot better, and I don't know what else to say. Like, you were just really poorly managed. And I feel bad for the people there who are legit gamers who are working and thinking, oh, I'm living the dream, and now they're basically getting butt-fucked. But I guess that's what happens with television. I don't know. Okay. Next question. How do you feel about Doug Walker ending the run of the Nostalgia Critic? And that's from Laughingtree 2013. Okay, a little bit of background needed here. Doug Walker is the main guy in charge of thatguywiththeglasses.com. It's a website that covers a lot of topics, including the Nostalgia Critic, which was his most popular series, an ongoing series where he basically reviewed and or criticized a lot of things from the 80s and 90s as he grew up, which is basically the same age range that I was, so I kind of understood or, you know, empathized, not empathized, but I knew what he was talking about when he was reviewing this stuff. And he's very funny. Very talented guy. In fact, at one point, I was going to work with him. Back in 2010, when I lost my job and I got kicked out of AdSense on YouTube, I originally was going to work with these guys and be a part of their group, but it ended up not working out because of the bullshit that happened with Blip TV. Here's the thing. I haven't seen Nostalgia Critic in years. Since basically 2010, when I had to focus on YouTube full-time, and this is my full-time focus. I don't have time to watch other people's videos. I said this numerous times. But I can understand how a series like that, he could feel that that's it. It's reached its creative limit. Because there's only so much stuff that you can review, you can criticize, until it gets stale. And the same thing is, he's the same character for how many years now? 3, 4 years, 5 years maybe? I don't know how long the series has been running. But once you have that same character for so long, you can start to get stale. And probably what Doug is saying is, at this point, he's wanted to work on other projects, but he's put so much time and effort into this ongoing series that he's never been able to work on them. Now is his opportunity to do so. So, even though it is the most popular series that he had, I think that the decision may be the correct one for him in the future to grow and do what he wants to do with his life. And the bottom line is the guy's a talented guy, and whatever new projects he's working on will probably be very good as well, and people should continue to follow him and not say, oh, my favorite series is over now, fuck him, fuck him, fuck him, fuck him. I mean, he needs to be able to creatively do what he wants to do, and if he's bored with the series or he feels that it reached its peak and that's it, and that's the time to end it. Go out on top. Don't go out in 10 years when no one watches your show anymore just because it has no more views. You know what I mean? So I support his decision. I wish him well in the future. I hope that his new projects do well. Okay, next question. Hey Phil, why do you no longer show gameplay footage when you do your Hateful Truth reviews like you did with your old ones? I realize that you expect people to see you play the game in your own playthroughs, but any other video game review has at least some gameplay footage to it. Sorry if this has been asked before by Drez. I have been asked before, but let's readdress it. And I want to make it short and sweet. The bottom line is this. I don't want to be a video editor, okay? I don't want to be a person sitting in you know, Final Cut Pro on a Mac or even here on a PC, Sony Vegas, learning crazy visual effects and all that. That's not who I am. I want to make entertaining videos through content. Like, okay, the content of the video is great. There weren't giant explosions. There wasn't crazy interlaced video footage and shit in it, but the content of the video was entertaining and useful. That's the purpose of the Hateful Truth. When I started with the Hateful Truth, I wanted to kind of do an entertaining skit-based thing. That didn't work out because it took so much time to do. Keep in mind, I'm a one-man crew. I don't have other people working with me on this stuff. So for me to film scenes and then put them into here, it would be like me trying to do Project 7 by myself, which incidentally is how Project 7 started, and it was a really shitty series, okay? I don't want to do that by myself. If I had a crew of people who came in here and wanted to do that kind of stuff with me, that would be different. But for me, I'm using the most basic video editing program you can think of. It's like a step up from Windows Movie Maker, okay? It's hard to even put video footage onto the thing. It takes forever to encode. It takes forever to actually get it to work properly. And I did do a few Hateful Truth reviews that had gaming footage in it, absolutely. That ended several years ago, okay? So for people to say, oh, Phil, your first couple reviews were the best, like, you're looking at something that's 3 years outdated. That's been gone for that long. You just need to give it up, okay? The reason I don't do video editing on my videos is because I don't have the expertise to do it in an efficient and quality manner, okay? I don't feel it adds enough to the video for the time investment that it'll take me. Right now, when I do a Hateful Truth, I review a game in a half hour, and then I edit it for a half hour, and I can upload it immediately. If I had to add video footage, now you're talking about I have to dig through all the raw files of my playthrough to find the specific instances that I'm referencing in the Hateful Truth. That takes a couple hours. Then I have to splice them in and encode them. So you're talking going from 1 hour to make a Hateful Truth to 5 hours to make a Hateful Truth. It's not worth it in my opinion, especially when the content of the video is identical. I've already done a playthrough. If you want to see gaming footage, go watch the playthrough. But if you want to know my honest feelings on the game, if the game's good, what I liked about the game, what I didn't like about the game, what kind of gamers will like the game, that's what the Hateful Truth is for, okay? So that's my answer on that. I'm not going to harp about it anymore. Next question. Hey Phil, just like with respect to the Pact, do you think that maybe someday a life-changing event will happen to you, and that you'll be able to undo video game playthroughs anymore? If so, will you still try to keep in contact with the fans to let them know what's going on? And that's from Neo Mystera. Listen, I'm fully aware that anytime something could happen, okay, that could completely change stuff, and it's just a risk, okay? I could break my hand and then I can't make gaming videos for months. I could lose an arm. Who knows? Some crazy freak accident could happen, okay? And then I can't play games with one hand. YouTube could get shut down. I don't think it ever will be, but YouTube could get shut down. And then that's it for that. Or maybe a crazy law will get passed that you can't do video games. If you remember last year with those stupid SOPA, PIPA, Bill S.978, where they were trying to make it that you can't make video game playthroughs and stuff like that. And luckily that got shut down, but there's always the risk that something like that could happen. If a life-changing event were to happen, would I stop, first of all, video game playthroughs? My answer is, I'm a fan of video games. I probably will be a fan of video games for my entire life, okay? And yeah, I know that's kind of weird. You say, well, when you're 60, you're going to play video games? I might. I might still play video games when I'm 60 years old. I like video games, okay? By then, they may be a completely different experience than they are from now. And it may appeal to a wider audience. But I may, even if I don't do like I'm doing now, full-time, crazy amount of video game playthroughs, I may from time to time say, well, you know what? Uncharted 7 comes out this year, and I really like that series. I basically grew as a person with it, and I want to play it. And I might do a video game playthrough of it. Who knows, okay? So from time to time, you may still see it. But what I would like to say is, even if I don't do game footage anymore, I would still like to have this relationship with my viewers and fans where I can share my life with you guys. I mean, outside of gaming, I just went on a cool vacation in Florida. I shared it with everyone. People loved the videos, and I loved doing that. I actually said to Leanna, my girlfriend, that is something that I might like to do in the future, like be a traveler, go to places and document the trips on YouTube, and people will love it, and not only do I make money off of it, but I get to share those experiences with everyone. I love that relationship, okay? I don't ever want to lose the relationship. I love having an audience, a place where if I really feel I have something I need to say, I have somewhere where I can stand on a soapbox and I can talk about it, okay? So regardless of what happens with gaming footage, I really do feel that hopefully for the rest of my life, I would like to have this relationship, this public relationship with everyone. Alright, next question. Hey Phil, I'm very interested in I have a very interesting and possibly personal question that I hope you'll answer. You may already know this, but I am actually disabled, so let me tell you who this is. This is from Solid Fantasy. Everyone knows who Solid Fantasy is at this point. I've answered many of his questions. He's an avid forum user and a good fan. Says, alright, so I am disabled and obviously I receive handicapped parking because of it. Without trying to be judgmental though, I can't help but notice that there are other people who have the same handicap privileges, but they don't look like they need it. Some cases involve people just being overweight, and you're like, if they're just overweight and it's not for a medical reason, couldn't they just exercise? Why do they get the same handicap privileges? This really upsets my mom more than anyone. When my family went to Monday Night Raw last month, we parked in a handicapped parking spot because we needed to. But the family next to us was full of people that weren't handicapped at all, and they were running at full speed towards the entrance of the arena. So my question to you is, do you or would you accept handicapped parking and benefits due to your back injury? Do you feel that it's too easy to receive handicapped privileges? Also, what do you think of people that abuse the system? And that, again, is from Solid Fantasy. He's absolutely right, okay? There are people who find a loophole, find a way, complain to the doctor so much that they get handicapped privileges. Yes, I've seen it. And yes, there are people who are simply overweight. They call it being obese, medically obese, that's the term. And they are allowed to have handicapped parking. And I know that for people who have debilitating injuries and conditions, that could be insulting to them. Because, Solid Fantasy, do you think he chose in his life to become handicapped? No. He just is, and he has to deal with it. Someone who's obese, well, when they were born, they weren't obese. So obviously, at some point during their life, something conditioned them and made them want to eat so much that they became obese. Now, don't get me wrong. There are lots of medical reasons why people are obese. Thyroid problems, I know, hormonal problems. Those people, completely different situation, okay? There are people who literally food is an addiction, okay? Just like any drug, they can't stop eating. That's different. But I do know for a fact, and I've seen it too, there are people who just go through life being lazy and, oh, I can get an extra benefit? Well, I'm entitled to that because I'm a U.S. citizen, so I'm going to get it. And they go to the doctor and they whine and complain and they get special privileges, okay? Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. It does piss me off, okay? Your question, that would I ever accept handicapped parking and benefits due to my back injury? Let me put it to you this way. There was a point where my back was so bad that, yeah, I probably would have asked for it if I went to the doctor and he'd give me an evaluation. He said, man, your back's not getting any better. This is something you should look into. There are people out there who have injuries and legitimate reasons, and they don't do this out of pride. And I don't know, maybe I'm one of them. I've thought about it, but I never said, gee, should I go to the doctor and get a handicap pass, okay? My mom is one of them. My mom has legitimate back issues and knee issues, and she just doesn't go and get this pass. I don't know why. She needs it, but she never gets it, and I think it's ridiculous. What ends up happening is, like, my dad, if she's going somewhere, ends up dropping her off at the curb, and then he goes and parks the car because she can't walk through the whole parking lot without significant strain. So, I don't know. There's some people that are, like, stubborn, okay? So that's kind of the flip side. You got people who really don't deserve it, and they get it just because they can. You got other people who need it, and they won't get it out of, like, pride and stubbornness. The only way that I would ever consider getting this pass is if my back was to the point where it really did limit my mobility significantly and I couldn't even normally walk. There was a point in my life a couple years ago where my back was that bad. But since the past year, since I've been using this back stretcher, I've been doing different things, my back feels great. And right now, I would honestly feel morally hurt. I would feel morally guilty, that's what I want to say, guilty, if I were to go steal. That's what I would feel like. I would be stealing a pass to park in a handicap spot if I were to do it right now, because I know I'm feeling great and I don't need that kind of special treatment. There are other people out there who they don't deserve to have these physical debilitations, and they need that more than I do, okay? So that's my honest answer. Alright, let's finish up because I only got about 10 minutes left. Next question. Phil, when you get the Wii U, will you be doing a shoulder cam or dual cam to capture your gameplay plus the Wii U gamepad screen? This probably would only work for certain games that have the second screen interaction. That's from Komaru. Well, the honest answer here is I would love to, but it's not going to be possible, and here's why. And I know this because I saw the way that this is being used at E3. A lot of the games such as Zombie U, it's not like a screen where you touch and you just use it. You actually have to hold it up in front of you and aim at your television to do aiming in certain games. And there's no way. You'd have to have someone, a cameraman, to actually follow the gamepad around to get all of that gameplay. So my answer is no. Unfortunately, with the Wii U, there is no way, no viable way to do picture-in-picture with the smaller screen. That's a fault of Nintendo. So you're just going to see basically TV footage. Maybe for certain games I'll like record Rambo or whatever, or he'll record me doing it, just for a couple examples, but you won't be able to see full playthroughs like that because I can't do it by myself. It's just not possible. Okay, next question is from Kev Factor, and he says, Phil, hypothetically, let's say you had time to make a new series for your channel, ranging from a few vlogs to maybe a new scripted series like Project 7. What would be the top 3 shows you consider, and could you elaborate? Thanks. And that's from, I already said it's from Kev Factor. There are 3 actual shows, 3 actual shows that I'm interested in doing. I actually have ideas of new stuff that maybe I can do at a future time. Number 1 would kind of be like, almost like a series where I tell you about growing up in the 80s and 90s with gaming, and I can address certain subjects, like the console wars, okay, between Nintendo and Sega, and then later on between Nintendo and Sony and stuff like that going on. I feel I have a really unique perspective because I grew up during that time period. Mario versus Sonic. What it was like to walk into video arcades during their prime time when they were actually full of video games and everyone was enjoying them. What it's like to travel around in a tournament experience and the experiences that I had going around traveling and doing Street Fighter stuff. There's a lot of things that I think I could actually share with people, and they would love that series, but I just haven't had the time to do it yet. I haven't found the way to do it yet, but that is something that I'm interested in doing. Another thing I'm interested in doing is like a weekly news show that covers all the gaming news that's happened over the past week. So if a new game was announced, I can talk about that. If a game gets a date, if there's a controversy going on, I can address all that kind of stuff. But again, I don't have a studio, I don't have a real good place to film that, I haven't had an opportunity to do it. And then the third and final one would be maybe skit-based comedy, but it would still be like the life of Phil. Like, let's say, for example, one day, I don't know, I'm filming and something funny happens, and there's a little mini skit, it's a couple minutes long or whatever, or a quick one-liner joke or something funny. That kind of stuff I would like to do as well, but I can't do it because I don't have a film crew, I don't have people to work with me, you know what I mean? This is all stuff that in the future, if I get more serious about this, outside of just making video game playthroughs, I could do some entertaining series, I think, okay? Alright, the final forum question, then we move on to Facebook and Twitter. Next question is, let's see. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was the last forum question, my bad. Let's move on to Twitter questions. This one's from Ben Hunter 611. He says, have you ever wanted to own a motorcycle? The answer is yes. Actually, when I was younger, when I was a teenager and even early 20s, I thought about owning a motorcycle. The reason that I never really followed up on it is because I live in Connecticut. And in New England, we have every kind of bad weather you can think of. We have humid summers, nasty rains and hurricanes and monsoons. We have blizzards during the winter, okay? So to have a bike, I would have needed to have like a garage to protect it. Even just having a bag, I know a lot of people say, oh, just put a cover on it. Wouldn't have worked in Connecticut, okay? And the problem is, I've never lived anywhere where I've had a garage. My parents don't have a garage. When I had my own apartment in New Haven, there was no garage. It was an open parking lot. And even now, at the condo facility I live in, it's an open parking lot. So I've just never had the means to own a motorcycle. At this point, though, with my back injury, I wouldn't be able to ride it anyway. So looks like that's out. Next question. This one's from Mega Man RA, and he says, do likes or dislikes mean anything on YouTube? I have no idea, okay? There's been rumors, but nothing has ever been definitively stated by YouTube that a thumbs up or a thumbs down on a video affects it in any way, okay? Some of the rumors, which could just be gossip that's meaningless, is, well, if you get a lot of thumbs down, if people type and try to search for your video, it won't come up in the search engine. So, like, for example, my Resident Evil playthrough, if it had a lot of thumbs down and people search for Resident Evil 6 co-op playthrough, maybe mine won't come up. I don't know if that's true. I don't know even how you could test that. I think it's stupid if that is the case, because you can literally get a bunch of assholes who just don't like someone and completely fuck them by voting thumbs down. But from my personal experience, no. Thumbs down and thumbs up really have no actual effect on a video whatsoever, so it's completely pointless. From Krisham812, he says, hey Phil, have you ever thought of making a podcast? Yes, I have. That is an interesting question. I've thought about doing a podcast format before. The thing is, though, I don't know what it would be, because I already do a series where it's a week in preview and I explain that kind of stuff. If I do a podcast also, it would need to be more than just one person. A one-person podcast is very boring, and I need interaction. The thing is, though, who would I do it with? John Rambo already has his own podcast. I don't know if I would really want to do a solo podcast. So really, honestly, it's not really anything that I'm actively considering, okay? Thank you for this one. A bunch of people asked me this, but this was the first person I saw. Owen McLean asks, Phil, will you go to PAX East 2013? Thank you for telling me, because it just happened yesterday. For those of you who are interested in going to PAX East 2013, which is in the end of March, PAX East just opened up registration and panel submissions. So I just today, it's only day 2 to do it, submitted a panel submission, and this time when I submitted it, I said, listen, this is a panel that I've done at MagFest and at Too Many Games, had more than 100 people attend this. People enjoy this panel. This is a good panel. We'd like to do it at PAX East. It's only day 2, so I really would have to say, how the hell would they deny my panel? That's really what I'm thinking. Like, it's a legitimate game panel. It has to do with gaming. It's actually about me. The way I named it and described it is about, I'm going to tell my experience of how I turned my hobby into a YouTube career, and now that I'm a huge YouTuber, I'm a top 25 machinima partners, over 390 million views total on YouTube. Like, I think people want to hear about how you can possibly make it big on YouTube through a hobby. It's a great panel, and it's pertinent to PAX East. If they deny it, I can't fucking imagine why, besides it's just preferential treatment. Where maybe they have friends of people, you know, oh, this guy's my friend, and he wants to do a panel, let him in. Because I can't imagine that they deny me submitting my panel on day 2, a directly related panel that's been successful at other gaming conventions, why they wouldn't have it. So if my panel gets accepted, absolutely I'll be at PAX East 2013. If it doesn't get accepted, I don't know. Okay, next question. This is from Elmstone Avenue, and he says, it may not be your thing, but have you ever thought about doing vlogs or something to show your viewers what your life is like? Yes, and that's something that I would consider, and there's a series of questions here that are very similar to that. For example, people always ask, would you consider doing Cooking with the King again, something like that? I will consider reviving doing vlogs, or maybe reviving things like Cooking with the King if I got a bigger place. Maybe, for example, if Panda Lee and I moved in together, got a bigger place, and had like a house where I could have my own office, where we could do vlog. Oh, this is my office. Look, daily, here's what I do, and blah, blah, blah. Right now, I'm too inundated with playthroughs, but I'm also cramped. Cooking with the King, I could do very limited stuff in that kitchen. If I had a nice, fancy new kitchen, and Pandalee and I were cooking for each other and doing big meals because, you know, it's for us rather than me just cooking for me, I might revive that series. So, in the next year, I'll be actively looking to possibly get a bigger place somewhere, and if that happens, then there's a possibility I may do new series like that. This goes right in tune with the next question from the Slinky Bitch, who asks, how is the office search coming? The office search is pretty much done because I decided I don't want to get an office in Connecticut. It's too expensive here. The taxes are too much. This state is not self-employment friendly, okay? It's not. It's horrible. They don't try to do anything of any kind of an incentive to help people who are self-employed. So what I'm going to do, if I get a bigger place outside of Connecticut, fuck this state, seriously at this point, I don't give a shit. I'm going to do it outside of Connecticut. I'm going to move somewhere where I have a room that could be considered my office, and that's how that search is going. Look for news on that in the next year. Last handful of questions. Justin Wilson says, how's your dad doing? Did he ever find a job? Real quick, he did not find a job. He's actively searching. He's gone to a bajillion interviews, none of which have picked him or hired him yet. But just to give you some perspective, he did an interview over a month ago. He got a call yesterday from the recruiter saying, just so you know, they're still interviewing because they had over 100 people apply for the position. So just to understand, in America, the job situation right now, even for jobs that you would think that no one would be qualified for, he had like 100 people he's competing against. There's everyone under the sun is applying to every job because everyone's unemployed. The country's in this much of an economic crisis. So my dad's doing all right. He's on unemployment right now. It looks like he may start getting some of his retirement stuff starting next year. We'll have to see. But he is still actively searching. He's doing all right for now. We're hoping that he finds something. Kyle Bapke says, what do you think of Sony suing Kevin Butler? If you haven't heard, Kevin Butler hasn't done anything with Sony in about 2 years now. And, well, I think it was about 1.5 years now. But he works for an independent marketing firm. He doesn't work for Sony. He was just an actor of this marketing firm that acted in their commercials. Well, he started acting in other commercials, such as for Bridgestone Tires, and Sony has sued him, saying that he is known, personified as the Kevin Butler character, and by him appearing in other ads, he's misrepresenting Sony. Sony's going to lose that lawsuit, okay? It's completely frivolous. They're complete idiots. But it's kind of funny that he was their #1 top guy. Then they stopped using him, so he says, well, I got to work, you know, I got to live, make a living. He goes to do it, and they fucking sue him. Fuck you, Sony. All right. The last question is from Dan Sanchez. He says, would you ever come back to competitive Street Fighter? A lot of your fans became your fans because of you were a competitive Street Fighter player. Is there a chance you'll go back to it in the future? If there is a Street Fighter game that I feel is hardcore enough that I want to learn it and play it, and it's not super easy to execute, and, you know, people who really don't put in enough time can do these high-level combos and kill you with one hit, yes, unfortunately, the dumbed-down controls of Street Fighter 4, the retardedly stupid easy mode gameplay of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 does not appeal to me. If a new game comes out that is appealing to me, I may consider doing it. I mean, I have the time to do it. The other thing, though, is that it's a massive time investment, and it would mean I'd have to cut back on other things like my playthroughs, and I don't know if I want to do that. So, I'm on the fence. That's it for this episode of Ask the King. Keep in mind, episode 29 coming sometime in December. I don't know when yet. Thanks for tuning in. I will see ya for gameplay over the next couple of months for the hardcore gaming season, and in December for the next episode of Ask the King. Peace.